Today we're talking with Mr. Matthew Chima. Matt talks about his involvement with Small World. It's an international community here in Nagoya to help connect and clean the community. Cicada Live, which is his music management company. The IAForum, which is his day job, as well as his background as a writer and artist. Here's Matt. You don't have your whiskey?
I finished it.
Okay.
I got coffee now.
We got more.
Uppers and downers. There we
Good
go.
day, mate.
Can't buy. Good day, mate.
All right, I'm here with Mr. Matt Chima.
That's my name.
Please introduce yourself, how you got to Japan, and what brought you here originally, and how long you've been here, all that stuff.
All right, so my name is Matthew Chima. I've been in Japan for nearly 10 years. I think it is my 10th year now. What do? I'm an events organizer. Primarily, I do community events and nightclubs, parties, that kind of thing. But recently, I've also moved into tour management for international bands and things, which it looks like it's going to be a pretty good project. How did I come to Japan? About 10 years ago, I was working in an office. It was okay, but I could see where the trajectory of my life was going to be. I thought it was going to be offices for the rest of my life, and that was kind of it. I could see the end.
So what, it wasn't English teaching? It was...
No, I was working as a web designer in Birmingham, and it was an alright gig. I had a dog that used to stay in my office.
Oh, yeah?
I had my own little office, and it was a big husky dog that used to come and sit
in
at my
Japan?
feet. In the UK.
Oh,
Used to come and sit at my feet.
Okay, this is
and
still in Japan, yeah.
Play with this dog whilst I was working on the websites, which is nice. But I could just see the trajectory of my life, and it wasn't going to be very interesting. So I thought, I want to go out and see the world. I want to do something really wild and experience something completely different. So I started applying for jobs in Asia, and I originally wanted to come to Japan and Korea, but somebody offered me a job in China, and I was like, yeah, screw it. Okay, let's go. Let's try it out. And that was probably the best move of my entire life, and that changed me forever. So being in China was incredible.
How long were you there for?
Just a year.
Okay.
But it's a culture shock, right?
Yeah, I've never been to China. I want to go. I've been to Hong Kong, but not mainland China. But I have to go just to experience that culture firsthand, you know?
It's much more of a culture shock if you live there.
Sure.
Because when you're there and you realize nobody's going to help you, and the culture is not the helping kind, it's you figure it out or you suffer, right? So I figured it out. I had to figure out the language. I had to figure out the culture, how to interact with people, and it really awakened me. It made me realize who I was, and it made me who I am today. And I'm very, very, very glad I took that chance. And I would recommend everybody to trust their guts and take chances that even when they seem scary or they don't fit with your initial plan.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like my move to the East Coast, where it was just this completely, of course, still America, but this completely alien culture.
Right.
No one's helping you. You're on your own, and that's when I learned a lot too about myself, and gave me the base to launch off of and be where I am today, wherever that may be.
I think it's really important for people to remove all of the what do you call them, stabilizers in the UK? What do you call them, training wheels?
Okay.
Take them all away, and live in a situation where you have to completely depend on yourself. I think that's a huge character building thing you can do.
Sure.
Definitely do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's resilience, right? So you've been here for 10 years, and were you an English teacher when you first came?
Yeah, I worked at Nagoya for about 6 months, and then I switched to dispatch teaching. So I was teaching engineers in different parts of Aichi and Shizuoka.
Was that OTC?
Yeah. It was OTC. I was working with you. You were there as well, right?
Yeah, just a couple jobs, yeah.
Yeah, but I remember that. We did one, Naked Man Town. What was that called?
I don't remember.
You know the one with the elevator factory?
Yeah, I do remember that. That's maybe where we first met, actually.
I think so, yeah. But I worked there for about 5-6 years, and then during COVID, I jumped over to events, and now I just work in the events industry.
That was the Naked Man Town? I didn't even know.
That was the Naked Man Town,
okay.
yeah.
I've never been to that festival.
I have.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No doubt. It's weird.
Naked Men?
Somebody actually asked me to be the Naked Man once.
Is that where they have to chase a naked man around and they beat the shit out of him?
Well, you touch him for good luck.
Oh, that's what it is.
The naked man runs and you touch him for good luck.
Yeah, nobody wants to actually be the naked man because
No.
you're just getting chased and harassed for the entire day.
Somebody asked me to do it, and they said, "Can you participate in the naked man thing?" I was like,
As the naked man?
he didn't tell me at the beginning whether
I
he was
doubt it.
participating. He was like, "Do you want to come and do a small world thing?" And then when I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll agree to it," he was like, "So you got to take your clothes off." I was like, "Wait. I didn't agree to this," so I had to backpedal. But
Yeah, I think it's more of an honor to be the naked man. I don't know if foreigners can be the guy.
I don't
feel like
know.
you have to
I
be
might have
for
been
some lineage.
I might have been one of the other naked men or a semi-naked man.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he was like, "You got to take your clothes off." I was like, "I don't feel comfortable like
The
this."
Gaijin naked man. Whoa!
It's a separate
Never
side
touched
event.
one of those before. I mean,
Very hairy.
finger legs looking good. I'll take your word for it. And, so when did you get out of teaching, and how did you do that? Since most people are teachers here, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. But you got out of teaching. So when did that happen, and how did it happen?
So I've been running events for 6-7 years now, and
With Small World.
it was a small world,
Yeah.
and that wasn't something I planned to get into, but I just started running events, and then they became popular and successful, and then kind of changed my social life, and I was doing events every week, and I did a huge variety of different things. I did international parties and quiz nights and language exchanges and volunteering events, and the quiz night. We did a quiz night at Shooters for a long time, and my current boss was looking for staff, and he used to go to the quiz night every time. So I applied for the position, and I got the position because it was events connected, and they were looking for somebody who knew marketing and could work within the events industry, and that's how I kind of shifted over. When I was working for OTC, because during COVID, nobody really knew what was going to happen with the English teaching or whether COVID was going to be a forever thing or not. I don't think lots of dispatch companies were doing very well at the time, so I was wondering, like, am I going to lose my job here? So I started looking around for other things, and the International Academic Forum happened to be around at the time, offering me a job, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll go for it. And that was a good move, and it's great. I love working there.
Cool. And you are doing marketing for them.
I do marketing for them, but I do all kinds of things. So because I have events management experience, I'm the one that ends up going to the events all over the world and managing a lot of the technical side of things and a bit of the nitty-gritty. I do a lot of the on-site event stuff, and I also do all the marketing to make people go to those events as well. So.
And what is the IAForum exactly?
IAForum is the International Academic Forum, and we organize academic conferences for people from all over the world who want to present their research. So we do events all over the world, including Tokyo, Kyoto, Barcelona, Paris, London, all over the world. So I travel basically every month to go and run these events. Hundreds of people come. It's a good time. I learn lots of things. I speak to lots of really interesting people who know lots of really interesting things. It's really opened up the thinking part of my brain, I'm not just going out drinking. I'm also going out drinking with seasoned academics and university professors, and we talk about really interesting things. So it's good.
That's great. And what kind of visa are you on to be able to do that?
I'm on a humanities visa.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been on a humanities visa the whole time. That's because I have an architecture degree. So it wasn't an English teaching degree. It was, I think the architecture degree gives you a bit more engineering-y type things. So mine's the engineer humanities specialist.
Yeah.
So that gives me flexibility to move outside of education and into all kinds of things.
Okay.
The humanities visa, as far as I know, is anything that requires you to use your ability to speak English to work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I kind of got into real estate too. I was on the humanities visa. I think originally just because the company I got it through, the guy knew that this is a better visa and can give you more flexibility instead of just the educator's visa, right?
Right. Educator is very limited. You can only really teach.
Yeah.
And I don't think they do long-term visas either. But I've had all kinds of visas. I've had 1 year, 3 year, 5 year visa over the time I've been here. So
I've had now 8 1-year visas, and I got 1 3-year visa during COVID. That was the only time I got the 3. Every other one has been 1 year. It's just like, why I pay my taxes?
all right. I got the 5 year last time.
Oh, yeah?
And then this year I got the this year I applied and I got the 3rd year. So
Yeah.
The 3 year.
Well, maybe I'll get it next time. So you have a 2 bachelor's degrees. Is that correct?
I have one bachelor's degree and
one
half
associate?
a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
Because
Coventry, you were studying fine arts.
I was a fine art major, yeah, and I did that for 2 years. And
Where
then,
you're originally from?
Yeah, my hometown is Coventry, but I tell people it's Birmingham because people don't know where Coventry is.
Sure.
And they're next to each other. So, yeah, I did 2 years of that, and I'm quite a talented artist. I don't really do it much anymore, but an art degree, I didn't really learn anything. It was more just spend your time doing something you're already really good at, and then I didn't feel like I was learning anything, so I thought I'd use those skills in a place where I would learn how to use them in a more productive way. So I switched over to architecture halfway through. So I did 2 years, and then I did an actual full architecture degree. So.
And you also changed university and went to Birmingham University.
I went to Manchester University.
Oh, Manchester, that's right.
Yeah, that's a whole different experience, moving up north to a major university like that. It was good fun.
Cool. Okay, so Manchester, and that's where your father also went to school?
My father went to, I don't actually know. I think he went to Aston University in Birmingham, actually.
Okay, Birmingham. That's why I got it mixed up, maybe, I thought. Because your dad, he had a degree in physics?
He did have a physics degree, yeah. He does have a physics degree.
Yeah, which is quite interesting, because not the easiest degree to get, I would imagine.
Yeah, he's not good at maths. Neither of us are good at maths. Which is why I guess he didn't go on to master's, doctorate, or that kind of thing.
Okay.
Because, physics, math gets really, really difficult.
Sure. And maybe he used some of that physics background as a writer, because he is a writer?
He's been a writer for basically his whole life. He wrote radio shows and scripts and short stories. Even while I was a kid, he was still writing those things. I remember him doing it. And then when I got into my teenage years, he wrote 2 full books, 2 full novels. They're all science fiction. They've always been science fiction. The first one was called the Methuselah's Virus. It was about a contagious disease that makes people live forever.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like
Michael Crichton.
Horrible.
Well, it sounds great, but the complications around it obviously are quite serious. Because, you don't want everybody to live forever. Well, maybe you do want everybody to live forever, but if you do want everybody to live forever, that fundamentally changes the way that the world operates, right? So, of course, you've got pharmaceutical companies and governments getting involved to try and control this contagious disease, and then people trying to create their own drugs based on it, which end up going horribly wrong. And that was the first full book you wrote. So the concept's good, yeah.
Cool. And so growing up with him, with his background being a writer and stuff like that, how did that influence you and things you did in life? Because you are also somewhat of a writer.
I am a writer as well, but I don't really do it much anymore. I have lots of ideas, which I never really do anything with. I have like a note app on my phone where I just write down concepts for stuff I've got. And these are things that I always wonder what they would be like if they were full books, but I also understand the amount of time and energy that goes into writing a novel. And I've written parts of novels before, and it's not just the amount of words you got to write, because sometimes it just kind of comes out as you have the ideas. But the hard part, I think, is making it into a cohesive story, and then making that cohesive story something else, something that other people can understand as well. So there are certain structures that writers need to have in order to make a thing readable, and making those things work is difficult, but also there's the perfectionist within you as well. Sometimes I go back and I read things I've written and I think, damn, that's good. Other times I think, damn, that's awful. I can't believe I ever considered that. So having my father as a writer back when I was a kid, it made me realize first the amount of work that goes into writing, and it's difficult. And even when you're finished, is it really finished? And secondly, you don't get anything out of it most of the time. You can write and you can publish, and even if you do manage to get it published, which is a struggle in itself and must be very soul-destroying to say, here's something I spent 10 years writing, and they say, it's crap, I don't want it. And then finally to get it published, and you think, that's brilliant, and then no one ever looks at it. So it's really, really difficult. It's a thankless job.
The paper, the single by the Beatles, Paperback Writer,
Right.
It talks about that whole thing, basically the struggling artist, right?
Yeah, I think writing is probably the hardest profession to do really, really well. And especially with AI and things these days, I don't think, unless you're really, really good, I don't think it is possible to become a successful writer that makes a lot of money. So
Sure, but maybe you're not doing it for the money, just doing it for the joy. And I was looking for this before, the last couple weeks before today, that you had sent me some chapters of a sci-fi book that you were writing.
that was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, but I read it, and it's interesting how many friends I have that are writers. I've got books over there from friends and a few books upstairs from friends, and surprisingly, I've been impressed with everyone's books that I've written, including yours, because oh, I'm a writer. Oh, okay, I'll read it, and you try to separate when I'm reading a friend's book, I try to separate myself from the friend and read it for what it is, and not try to connect it to them because it's easy to judge. And what I read from yours was very easy to get into, and I enjoy sci-fi, so it was you should finish that book.
I think personally my writing style is good. I think I'm quite good at creating images, but I'm not great at story structure.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I could see some of the process there because it's very kind of raw. What you had given me. There's some notes, and you're like making notes about this. Well, what about this? A note to self about what am I supposed to do in this area of the book, or what was the name of this? That process. As someone who's interested in the process, is kind of cool to see. Because you just don't do this and it's done, right? There's a lot of work that goes into it, going back and filling those things in that maybe you missed along the way.
For me, there's flow. When you put your headphones on and you start writing, when I write to Pink Floyd, and I can't seem to write to anything but Pink Floyd. But when I've got the headphones on and I'm listening to Pink Floyd, and I'm writing, and it's just kind of coming out, and you get those block moments where you think, I don't know how to explain what I'm writing or what I need to do. So I learned that just skip it and keep the flow going, and then come back to it when you need to, just to maintain that mindset.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That's
when you're kind of locked in, right? It's kind of like songwriting too. Johnny Cash is like, I can't just sit down and write a song. It has to come to you. You never know when it's going to come. John Lennon said, it's kind of a pain in the butt, really, because I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I have to write right now. I don't want to write. I want to sleep, but I have to write right now. One of those things, when it's coming out, you got to let it flow.
There were other people. Do you know Harlan Ellison?
No.
Harlan Ellison is my favorite writer. Okay, and he is a strong supporter of writing as a job. He doesn't believe that it comes purely from inspiration, and he thinks that people that write just from inspiration are idiots. So he used to
sound very cynical.
Yeah, but he's an excellent writer. He's a true gifted writer. He used to sit in shop windows, like where you'd put the mannequins and things. He'd sit in shop windows and sell short stories to people. He'd say, give me $50, I'll write you a story, kind of thing. And they'd say, okay, I want you to write me a story about this. And the whole thing was a stunt to prove that good writers can write as a profession. It's not some, difficult to pin down thing, and it comes from amazing talent. It's like good writers can't just write, like a record job. If you ask somebody to make you a table, they'll make you a table. You ask a good writer to write, he'll write. So he'd just sit in shop windows and take stories and just pump them out throughout the day to prove that it could be done. But the truth is that he was just an exceptionally talented, gifted writer that could write anything. And there are not many people like that in the world.
Sure, yeah. I think I talked about this with Sean Muller. Anybody who's read enough books thinks that they can write a story. And I think it's good to do that, right? If you like music and try to write a song to see how difficult it is, the process of it. And I've tried to do some writing, and it's fun just to do some writing, but it makes you realize, wow, a really good writer is like, how do people write this? How is this even possible? It's like a piece of music you hear. You're like, how can someone, or a painting, how could someone ever paint that? Yeah, writing's the same way.
I think it's a mixture of talent and practice, much like anything else. Good artists, you can become a good artist by practicing. You can also be a naturally good artist. But what I believe is that people who are naturally gifted, me included when it comes to writing, to drawing, it makes you believe you're good, and therefore you don't need to put in the effort. right? So I was always a good artist, so I never learned how to draw. And then other people learned how to draw, and they would catch up to me. And because they had better technique and they had better understanding or on how to do a lot of these things, they could do some things a lot better than I could. And that was crushing to my own ego, right? Then it makes you not do it anymore.
I just last night, taking a bath, I read my Kindle. I was reading this Stoicism book, and it talked about this exact thing where you have a student that's so talented, and usually the teacher, if they're a good teacher, they're going to be so strict on this person and not pump them up too much because they're going to get, oh, I'm good, I don't need to practice, I don't need to work on it, and then they miss all the basics, and then it catches up to you in the end. And this is exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
The same thing goes for writing. I mean, if you read enough books, especially the books that I'm reading at the time when I write, heavily influence the kind of writing that I do as well. I kind of not quite mimic the voice, but I try to capture a lot of the things that I've read in there as well, some of the ideas, or sometimes I'll read something, I think that's an interesting thing, and it will subconsciously end up in my own writing as well. But reading a lot, reading a variety of different kind of things, watching television, listening to people speak, and just kind of making mental notes of things you find interesting. I don't think you need to write it down or anything, but something about your own subconscious, if you like focus on it and being like, that's interesting, you'll remember it and it will come back out subconsciously somehow or other within the creative work that you do.
Sure, and I do that as well, kind of with writing music. You know, I'll listen to an album of a band and listen to the whole album, and then from that kind of try to create my own thing, because there are those like clean slate artists, you know, but I think that's kind of bullshit. You know, it's good to be influenced, you know.
I think it's really good to be influenced because it contextualizes your work as well.
Yeah.
If you just write something out of nowhere, it's difficult for people to anchor it to whatever is going on. I mean, it does work for some artists. I mean, earlier we were talking about Bjork, and Bjork is truly different to everybody else, and she's found her own niche. But that's really difficult to do, and I think, yeah, listening to other people and having influences is really important if you're a creative person.
It's also interesting to me to say that you listen to Pink Floyd while you're writing, because for me, if I'm doing anything, especially reading a book, I cannot have music that has English words in it because my attention goes to the English words and I can't focus. So I'm listening to like Rat-a-tat, you know, I've got this like background kind of just meditation kind of music in, and it just drowns everything out, and then I can focus. So there's no way I can focus with English music going on.
Pink Floyd's good because, okay, it's only Wish You Were Here. So if I'm writing,
you just listen to
I
that
listen
on
to Wish
repeat?
You Were Here on repeat. Yeah.
Oh God.
But that's what's the 40-minute album, right? It's largely instrumental.
Oh, not the song itself, but the entire album.
Entire
album.
album. Yeah.
That makes more sense.
But I always wonder whether there is something about that album which we haven't, or that hasn't really been looked at properly, about the frequencies in that album or something. Or maybe it was intentional. They put a certain frequency into it to calm your mind or something. I don't know. But whenever I listen to anything else, I do get distracted. When I'm writing anyway. But when I'm writing words, prose, Pink Floyd really helps focus my mind. But other work, I can't work in silence. I can't do it. I have to work with music on.
Yeah, I don't want to. I can't work or focus, and yeah, silence is okay as long as there's no English going on somewhere else, because I can't focus at all. It goes to that language. If it's in a like even Japanese, I'm not listening to it enough where it's coming into my mind. But
my brain is always moving around. I find it really difficult to stay focused on one thing. So any work I'm doing, my brain will zip over here or zip over here, and I'll lose focus and get distracted by something else. Music, I find, acts like a totem. So if I've got music going on in the background, my brain, the subconscious part of my brain, is listening to the music. It's like I've got two people in there, right? One's like pestering the other, you know? But the pest goes over to the music and just listens to the music, and the one that's doing the work can focus on the work. So when someone says you can't listen to music when you're working, I know immediately I'm not going to be producing any good work. Yeah, so that's been like a necessity. Every place I've ever worked in my life, I've been able to listen to music whilst I'm working. So
yeah, as long as it's in headphones and not bothering anybody else.
If I was working in a Japanese company, they wouldn't let you.
Yeah. You do the small world stuff, and I really, you know, I've seen you guys kind of come from, you know, you said you started about 6 years ago, right? But come up and build this whole thing. I missed the trivia nights, by the way. You guys still do that? You don't, do you?
We're thinking of bringing them back.
Okay. I'm not a real big trivia guy, but it's just kind of fun, challenging. I'm bad at trivia, but I like hanging out with guys like Ian. I'm on Ian's team.
He knows his stuff. Yeah, he's good.
But also, your connection to the community here in Nagoya. You guys talk about your Sunday pickups. Like that, I really love that you are not just doing the parties and bringing the community together. By the way, if you're out there, you're new to Nagoya, check out Small World. It's a great community. It's you want to make some friends. It's a great way to meet new people, get out there and get connected. It's not Tokyo, it's not Osaka here, it's Nagoya. We're a smaller town, but it's a great community, and he's built a place to let people gather. And once a month, last Sunday of the month or something like that.
Actually, tomorrow.
Tomorrow
is the next one. Yeah.
Okay.
Every second Sunday, we do this event. The truth is, this event taught me a lot. Back at the beginning, we were just doing parties. That's what we did. And as the community was growing and getting bigger and bigger, we used to get 200 people at international parties every month or more. We had lines up outside coming to that event. One of my friends, who's an environmentalist, she suggested we do something in the mornings after the international party.
Oh.
And I was like, what a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's going to be hungover, and I didn't want to get up after going to bed at 6 a.m. 4 hours later to go and pick up trash in the sunshine. I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. But she convinced me, and I thought, okay, let's give it a go. And it was a really popular event, and I found that it was quite comforting to my soul as well. And it taught me a lot about community responsibility as well. It taught me a huge amount about that, and I was even talking about this yesterday to somebody. When you have a platform and you are in the community and people listen to what you say and what you do, I believe that you have a certain amount of social responsibility to tell people good things to do which will help build the community and support the community. So the Sunday Pick Me Up thing was a way for us to, first of all, give back to the community that has supported me over the last 10 years or so. Secondly, it's really good for the perception of gaijin here in Japan. A lot of foreigners think that we are here, we're troublemakers.
A lot of Japanese
people don't think that we fit in. We're loud and we cause trouble and we do crime and all those kinds of things.
Completely wrong, but
but that's what a lot of them believe, especially the older ones. And when they see us walking around the streets, and it's a mostly gaijin led group, they see us walking around picking up their trash, which is their own responsibility to be collecting. They think it's a good thing, and the perception of us, I think, does change. And it's also a really good way for people to meet other people who don't necessarily want to make friends at parties. One of the big ways for people to meet, one of the most famous, obvious ways for you to go and meet people is to go to a bar and meet people. But if you're not the kind of person that wants to go to a bar and meet people, where are you going to do it? What are you going to do? So this provides a space where people who aren't quite as loud and outgoing to meet other people who are similar to them. And I think it's a nice community. We get people of all kinds of ages, all kind of backgrounds, different interests. We get children, elderly, Japanese, foreign people that don't really come to anything else. They come to these, and it's a really good way for them to get together and make new friends. It's one of our strongest events. What is that?
It's the fire. For some reason, it just started getting audio.
But yeah, it's a really good community. It's really cool, and it's one of the only ones I've never considered ever cutting. Some of the events do well. Some of the events don't do so well. Some of them, it requires a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of energy. Sunday Pick Me Up's a great one, and I would never consider cutting that.
You're not, it probably costs money to do it, right?
In a way.
You're not making money. It's, you're not paying a donation, which might not be a bad idea if it's going towards some local charities or stuff like that, But yeah, I love it. I've done it just a handful of times, to be honest, not a lot, but maybe 3-4 times. I've enjoyed it. It's fun, like you said, just Sunday morning, the world's waking up, half the world's hungover, but you're here on the streets, walking slowly down your path, picking up stuff, talking to people, getting to know people, having conversations you wouldn't be able to have any other way. And,
Right.
It's a certain kind of person who's going to show up and do that kind of thing.
Exactly.
It's not like you're meeting a bunch of assholes
They're all good people.
picking up on Sunday. Like, everyone's super cool. And I will be there tomorrow. Thanks for letting me know. Where's the starting point?
Cicada Park,
Oh, baby.
the
That's
trashiest part of town.
That's like...
I mean, it's funny. I mean,
we went
see
through
that-
Nishiki that one time. I'm like, damn, this is dirty.
Yeah, it's bad, but it's funny that negative thing becomes a positive thing because people obviously come to that event to pick up the trash, and if there's no trash to pick up, great, good job, Japan. But on the other hand, we've got nothing to do, so it's a bit boring. But on the other hand, Ikeda Park, and there's just trash everywhere. We look at it and go, we've got something to do. You know?
Ikeda's a different area, right? Yeah, it's as clean as Japan is. When you're walking down the street and then you're actively looking for the trash, like, wow, there's quite a bit of trash around here. You're picking up cigarette butts and stuff like that too, right?
Cigarette butts are the big one. I mean, lots of other countries have kind of like cigarettes smoking is on the down, but here people smoke just as much as they ever have.
Well, it's cheap.
Yeah.
They need to raise the prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, I will be there at the Sunday pick-me-up, and I'll see you there bright and early. From what time? 10?
10 a.m. to 12 p.m. every second Sunday.
Okay, I'll be there. And one other thing I wanted to talk to you about was, and you mentioned it earlier, your endeavor with Cicada Live.
Ooh, this is a new project.
New project. It's been going on a couple years now, right?
Yeah, but only
but
seriously in the last year.
Okay.
We never really planned to do it. Back years ago, we were doing... because Small World tries to cater to the entire community and provide something for everybody in the community. There's the rock scene, live music, which there was kind of a gap at the time, so we created an event called Metal Meetup, and the idea was that we'd have a social place where foreigners, Japanese, could get together, listen to rock music, and talk about the things they like, right? We ended up accidentally booking a band on the first time, and that kind of became a tradition. We had a short live set and then a hangout, and during COVID we had to cut that, and then
this was even before COVID.
This is pre-COVID, yeah. And then after COVID, somebody messaged, you know the Reddit, the subreddit. Somebody put out an SOS on the Nagoya subreddit. We're looking for a live house. Somebody please help, right? So I responded and I said, I think I can probably help you. Like, we've got a bit of experience doing this. Turned out to be a band from Wisconsin called Lords of the Trident, and they were looking for one date on their Japan tour. They were previously booked in The Rock, which wouldn't have worked because
The Rock?
Yeah,
okay.
So they're a major band that could book 200, 300, people, 5 members, costumes and everything. They wouldn't have fit in The Rock. So
we've done it with 4, and that's probably the max.
Yeah, it's tough, but yeah, it would have sold out easy. So we booked them in the Red Dragon. It took about 2 weeks from them messaging us to playing the show. The show went pretty well. They were very happy with our organization, and then about 6 months later, they said, "Do you want to do the entire Japan tour for us next year?" And we were like, "Ooh, I don't know, but yeah, okay." I'd never say no. If somebody gives me something which seems scary, I'm going to say yes to it because I prefer to challenge myself. So we looked into how we would turn that into an operating tour. So we learned how to sell tickets. We learned how to book the bands in all the places, everything we needed to do to get the support bands, learn how to process visas. We learned how to do all of these things, and we sold 1,500 tickets over 6 months in 8 different cities across the country. And it went really well, and we've learned a lot. And since then, we've built Cicada Live into a fully functioning tour management agency, which can now take bands from all over the world and bring them to Japan to tour the country. And I'm excited about it. I'm really excited.
Cool. So if you're out there and you're a band, specifically, you guys are more like metal, heavy rock, right?
Well, I would like to cover more genres. Cicada Live was never really planned to be a rock metal thing. I want it to be just a music company.
Does Travis know that?
He does. But it just happens to be that we have links within the rock community, and that's thriving here as well. But
Yeah.
we do have plans this summer for more varied music, and I for sure am myself looking for other artists outside of Japan who are different genres. So
Cool. So if you're looking to book some tours and need some assistance with the booking, and not only the booking but the visas,
we can do everything.
yeah,
It's a
getting
complete package.
your visas lined up so you can actually come in legally and make money. Cicada Live can help out.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, hit them up. All my million followers, I'm sure someone will be knocking on the door tomorrow.
You'd be surprised. I mean, people come out of sometimes we could never anticipate sometimes where some of these things are coming from. I mean, that Reddit post, I could have not responded to that. I remember it was like 7 a.m. and I got a buzz and looked at it. And I was like, I don't want to respond to this. And then I thought I probably should. And then I did, and that's led to where we are today. You know, the most unlikely of places. Sometimes we get messages from bands sometimes, and the bands are not particularly famous. You know, like I don't know, are they going to be able to afford to do a tour here? And then they say, oh, we're going to bring this band with us, and they're huge. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess you can. So.
Cool. So yeah, it could be opportunity around any corner.
Yeah, I mean, I would say follow your gut, follow your instincts, hear everybody out, listen to what they've got to say, and just try stuff, just have fun. Sometimes it doesn't need to be money in anything or opportunity in anything. Just if it sparks joy, as what's the name, Marie Kondo would say, go for it. Have
Cool.
fun.
All right. So thanks, Matthew, for coming in and
My pleasure.
and sharing your story and what's going on. The architect, artist, writer, philanthropist, entrepreneur.
I feel you're building me up a bit.
Well, those are all the things.
I just make parties.
Those are all the things. Did I say anything that's exaggerated or a lie? So those are the things you are and what you do. So
I do a lot of things.
yeah, that's great. So thank you so much. Any closing remarks?
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
It's been great. It's been nice to talk to you.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been on camera for 30 minutes, but I've talked to you for the past 3-4 hours, and it's been great.
Yeah.
It's a great community. It's a great city. If you don't know Nagoya, you should come check it out. There's lots of things to do. The international community in general, the people that live here, it's a great place, and yeah,
It's not boring.
it's not boring. Everybody says it is, but it's one of those cities where you get out of it what you put into it. So Tokyo is easy. You can just show up in Tokyo and have a great time.
Yeah.
Nagoya, if you put the time and energy into finding places to go and people to meet, and you try to create genuine connections with the people you meet, you'll get the same out of it.
That's exactly what I say. I'm like, if you go to Osaka or Tokyo, it finds you. You just walk around, it finds you. But in Nagoya, you have to go find it, whatever it is. But the same thing is true. I've talked to foreigners who move to Tokyo, and they'll go to a foreigner-friendly place, and nobody talks to them.
Right.
You know, it's harder to get in. It's one of those big city places. Nagoya's got that small town feel where you can walk up to a stranger in a bar and just have a chat with them and be friends in 5 minutes, you know, so.
And friendships grow organically as well. Over time, even if you don't necessarily connect with somebody the first time, you'll see them again and again and again. I mean, much like our own relationship, we met each other years and years ago, but we haven't really connected until the last couple of years, I guess.
Sure,
right?
yeah, that's right, yeah. So yeah, and thank you, and again, that's why I like to do this, just to get to know people a little bit more and have an excuse to have conversations, because we always have interesting conversations. And
We do.
I'm sure I've got maybe a little bit of whiskey. You can see on the shelf over there. We can get in before you leave.
I got a bit of time. Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.
Pleasure, mate.